Good morning. Thank you for having me here and welcome everyone. I'm Samantha Clarke. I lead up partnerships for VDURA. Firstly, it's really exciting to be here. I've been in the HPC world for a while and I see people here from the biggest supercomputers in the world, supercomputer facilities, the biggest companies in the world, all coming together to really drive the future of AI and HPC. So I think it's amazing and an honor to be here. Secondly, I've got an action for you all, so hang on to your seats. And thirdly, I'm going to answer the question that I've been asked by a few people here. Thank you, Zolt. What is VDURA doing with DAOS? And then also what we're doing with the community and what we've learned along the way. So, your action. Diversity. Diversity, as we know, brings great things to the world, especially to open source. And there's a couple of things that are holding women back contributing to open source. Thank you for the smile in the back there. One is role models. So I am here today, standing up. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I'm here. The second is confidence. So my action to you all out there, including the women, is do a little mentor, do a little nudge, get some of the women to contribute into the community and congratulate them when they do. I'm here today because I got a nudge from my now CEO, my favorite mentor, that said, get your act together, learn how to public speak, you'll do so much better. So you guys can tell me how that worked out later. Okay, so VDURA. VDURA, for those of you who don't know, was Panasys, rebranded. VDURA is a high-performance parallel file system, essentially NVMe front-end, and scale out object backend. Looks very much like Dean's Google Cloud, shared nothing, scale out, gives you resiliency, ability to scale. Now, when I came into VDURA, we were super excited. I'd been at Seagate running our software partnerships and seeing all the different solutions out there. And being an open source community, I sometimes say this differently, but I think about VDURA being a marriage of Luster meets Ceph, if you like. So, but when we came in, we were super excited. The AI world was coming and everyone needed a very high performance file system to feed the GPUs, but they also needed usability, reliability, which we have. But Mike, you stole my thunder earlier. We got into VDURA and we realized, 4 years on from leaving Cluster Store and sitting in Seagate hard drive company for a little while, the world had changed a little bit and people like Mike had figured out what AI ML workloads really needed. It wasn't just high performance throughput, it was also the IOPS and the small file performance. So, I was sitting at a dish dash in San Jose with my CEO who said, how are we going to solve this? We've got an engineering team working really hard to build Panasys into VDURA, and we really need the IOPS. Who does IOPS really well? Who's leading the way? It's DAOS. Let's just put DAOS and VDURA together and build an awesome file system. So that's kind of what we've done. We've used it first. Our first challenge was to move away from end-of-life hardware component, which was an MBDIM, which is essentially the persistent memory for our intent log. And so we brought DAOS in as that high-performance piece to really serve that purpose for us, and we can look to continue using it to improve our IOPS and our small file performance. That sits in our director node. For those of you who are familiar with Elasto GPFS, we essentially have our metadata director node and our storage nodes. This sits in our director node and allows us to do fast metadata. We are early adopters of non-PMM, so thank you, Johan, for covering where that's going. We're excited to see that. And something we've done differently, apart from the fact that we're using it under hood rather than the actual file system, is that we are using it on FreeBSD. So we have a couple of file systems underneath, but we are using it with FreeBSD. And we have folks here that can answer more questions about how that is all working out. So we will jump into our community status. So we haven't contributed a lot to the actual DAOS file system, but what we have done is a lot of work to improve the upstream compatibility and contributed there. So we've worked in places like LBLab, SPTK, Mercury MP, and various others. Brian here will be able to answer many questions about where we've touched, and we have submitted one bug fix to DAOS, so there we are. I think in terms of lessons learned, I was talking to our team to kind of put it in my head about how this really is. It's like taking the whole Tesla stack and saying we just want to use the piece that makes battery charging fast. So we've taken a bit and we've made it really fast under the hood. And there's some challenges there. We've got 2 control planes, 2 management systems working together, kind of like me and my husband trying to decide how to discipline my 4-year-old who's in charge. So we've worked through that, but there's definitely a lot of things to coordinate between the 2 file systems, and that's where most of our learnings have really been. So I think our biggest contribution, apart from obviously the upstream, to the community, is helping other people who are looking to use DAOS in a different way. So we've learned a lot along the way. I think, Happy Path has been great. We're finding corner cases. That's great too. We learn a lot. And I think, the stability is really getting better. I think we appreciate everything that community's doing, and we're appreciating the performance of DAOS, of course. And I'm going to keep this super short. If you would like to ask technical questions, I have our head of product and our head of architecture out here in the back to answer. But I'm happy to answer any questions about community or what VDURA is doing in general.
Questions for Samantha?